don't want to record an entire fucking episode. Okay.
Yeah, we're good to go. Yeah, and us not even be talking into it. All right. So let's start over here.
Hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome.
Everybody to episode 4 of Cause and Defect.
Yep.
The show for serious conversations with not so serious people. You've made it with us through 3 episodes, probably just 2 though, because I know not everybody watched the first episode, and rightfully so.
And some people may just be skipping right to this one.
That's fine. This time we're gonna talk about cars a little bit.
Yep.
Not as much of preferential type stuff. It's going to be more the benefits between gas, hybrid, and electric vehicles, and we'll probably flash up some opinions on the screen.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe with some of our favorite looking cars. You know, it's inevitably going to have opinions.
It's going to be biased, of course.
Yeah, but we're going to try to keep it more interesting and more of a science and philosophical debate instead of we're just talking about the newest cars that came out.
Yes.
It's not going to be a
Mustangs.
lot of that. Oh yeah.
And it's definitely easy, it's a good idea just because we went kind of heavy in the first few episodes. So now we're just trying to do something a little light and playful, maybe a little bit more entertaining that more people can relate to.
Right.
Hopefully, maybe.
Towards the end, we're going to jump into some energy type discussion. I mean, inevitably as we talk about cars and batteries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you kind of have to, right?
Yep. And we'll hopefully lead into either climate change or some other sort of energy fueled discussion for the next one. We will see.
We shall see.
Yep.
We'll just let the words flow away from us.
That's right.
In whatever,
as we usually do.
Whatever manner they will.
After a poop wood, after a delicious Mexican meal.
Yes.
As I just had.
It flows out.
I'm glad I got rid of that poop before I started this recording.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too.
That's right.
I hate to be like a boop on the screen. Be back in 15 minutes.
All right, so we're going to start this podcast with another segment of Q&A.
A Q&A.
I did not, once again, come up with answers to my own questions, so I may stump myself again.
Yeah, we like to just think of stuff naturally, whatever comes off the head.
That's right.
That's the best way to do it anyways.
Yeah, I think so.
It's
genuine.
It's genuine, right? That was what I was going to say for sure. So, all right, so I'm going to just start off since I'm talking.
See what you got.
So, if anybody knows anything about Chase, if you know him personally, he makes up a lot of nicknames for things.
Perhaps.
So I have to ask, what is the best nickname you've ever come up with?
Ever.
Yeah.
That's
even like Xbox names, just names you call. I know probably the majority of them you don't remember because it's just like off the top of the head, but there's got to be like 1 or 2 that stick out that are that you remember.
Well, if we're talking about Xbox names, if that's the main thing, that's the main thing that's coming to my head.
Okay.
Because I had to look at it for a constant thing. This isn't going to sit well with a lot of my viewers, but Rump Raider 99 was one of my favorite Xbox Live names.
Rump Raider. You've had some good ones.
That was a good one. And Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
Like Dirk Nowitzki, if y'all, whatever. But yeah.
I think
those are the 2 that stick out because they're Xbox names.
One of the names that sticks out the most is definitely Reginald Knee Swallow.
Yes.
It's one of the best nicknames ever.
Man. So many just spew out of this thing.
Yeah. It's way more fun to just call people by nicknames rather than their real names.
It really is.
Yeah, seriously, I've told the story 1,000 times, but my whole first year of college, I seriously just made up nicknames for people because I didn't feel like remembering their real names. And I'm so bad at names. It's like, as soon as you say it, no matter what, like 5 seconds later, I'm going to forget what it is. Mm. And so, like, my first year of college, I would call people by whatever names I wanted to, and they would just respond most of the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't have the time to remember.
Hey, Hair.
Will's like my best friend, and I called him Roger for like months.
Oh my god.
Just the first thing I could come up with.
That's amazing. I'm gonna start just calling you Broomstick or something. Yep. Anything that starts with a BR.
Yeah.
Brimrose.
My go-to is, what is it, like Tammy Tackle Box or Tamantha Tube Socks?
Tamantha Tube Socks. Oh my god.
All right, hit me with a question.
Was that your serious one?
No.
Somehow?
I didn't really label them out as funny as serious this time, so just hit me with one.
This was a serious one, whatever. What's your earliest childhood memory? And how old were you when this memory happened?
Wow. There's no way I'm going to remember my age. Okay, this one's pretty early on. I had to be like, Jesus, like maybe, I have absolutely no idea. I'm going to guess anywhere from the range of 7 to like 9 or 10 years old. But my dad had like one of his friends over for a while, and she had a daughter, and that daughter was a hellacious little monster, and we were jumping around playing, and I had this big like plastic boat that you would put in the bath with you, and you could put all kinds of stuff in it and like lower the drawbridges and all kinds of stuff like that. And she picked the shit up and hit me right on the top of the head with it, and then all of a sudden like blood just like dripping down my forehead. So that's one of my earliest memories.
Wow. What did your dad do? Do you remember that?
I
break up with his friend.
No, I don't think. I don't think he freaked out that much. Like that girl was just mean. Like she was just, I don't know. I don't remember any of their names, of course, but that's one of the first things I can think of. I'm sure if I sat here for like 10 minutes and thought, I could think of something better, but that's a pretty good story. And it was pretty early on. So what about yourself?
The earliest one I remember, I was either 2 or 3. But I just remember sitting at a window in Virginia where we lived and watching this crazy blizzard happen, because it was like once in a lifetime blizzard storm for the South. At least I don't know about Virginia weather anymore. It's been so long since I've
That's really early for you.
But yeah, I
remember some daycare stuff, but that was in like I don't know what grades I was in. I got kicked out pretty soon, so.
They figured out you were a nightmare very early.
Not many kids can get kicked out of daycare, but this guy can.
This one.
Yep.
Shat in the sink or something.
All right, this one's kind of a serious question.
Okay.
So, and it's a 2-parter. So bear with me as I get through it. Huh? So if you could move anywhere in the world, where would it be? And then on top of that, if you could learn a language of anything you wanted, it could be along with the place you go, or it could be completely different.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's a toughie, but see what you come up with.
If I can move anywhere, that's maybe Australia.
Why would you go there with all the dangerous stuff?
Because there's a lot of. I mean, I'm a biologically centered person, so seeing all the unique wildlife there would be a fascinating thing day in day out. For me. So either there.
Would you learn Australian?
Australian? I mean, would I just talk like a hick
with the different accent, right?
An English hick. It's either there or like Ireland or something.
Ooh, that would be good. I feel like it would be cold a lot, but I think that would be good.
It would be beautiful, and you wouldn't have to learn a new language by any means.
Yeah.
But if I did have to learn a new language, if I'm not thinking about the benefits that it would have.
Right.
As far as like learning Mandarin or Russian, those two are pretty high benefit right now in our society. But I really like German because like I took Spanish in high school, and I just noticed that I really naturally took to the way that you say German words when
the more white people languages.
Yeah, I guess. If you want to call it that, the things it just rolled off my tongue really easy. It felt natural.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess one big reason is that English is a lot of Germanic roots in it. So.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard. Like if you don't practice when you're young, like rolling your R's and stuff like that, it's really hard to do it when you get older.
So weird. Like I never practiced it when I was young, but I could do it when without problem.
True.
With Spanish.
And I can do it pretty well too. But I know a lot of people that just their tongue just doesn't roll like that for whatever reason. So,
what about you?
To answer my own question, if I could move anywhere, where would it be? I would kind of like to go somewhere just completely different. Just like submerged in something completely different.
Pretty much everywhere in the world is completely different in the United States. We do a really damn good job of trying to just be different for the sake of being different, even if it's worse.
True. I would think like maybe like Vietnam or something.
Yeah.
Like great beaches, good city life if you want it. You can go out in the kind of farmlands of it all.
Amazing pho.
I mean, yeah, you can go. The street food there costs like $1.
Yeah.
And I could eat there like every day. That'd be amazing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think something like that. As far as a language, whatever language they speak, Vietnamese, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't know what it is. But
language.
I don't know if I would want to learn that. It'd definitely be helpful if I lived there. But if I had to just learn any language, I think something like I would love to be fluent at Spanish, but I think something like French would be fun. It just sounds so good when someone speaks French. Mm-hmm. Like it's such a romantic language.
It's like if you've seen the Matrix movies, the second
Oh,
Matrix
yeah.
movies, like French language is an amazing language. I love that language, especially to curse with. And he like rolls them all off the tip of his tongue, and it's I
He
gotta
was saying
say
something about silk or whatever.
Sounds great. It's like wiping your ass with silk. I love it. Yeah.
Yep, that makes it seem a little gross, but at the same time, it does sound good. It sounds good. It's one of those languages.
My turn.
Okay.
Ask you a question.
Hit me with it.
If you were gay, what's the first celebrity you would go after?
Ooh, if I were gay, the first celebrity I would go after. That's really hard to answer considering I've never had the like notion to be like, I would fuck him. You know?
I can't lie. There are like a couple of famous celebrities that I'm like, yeah, I would probably go gay for him, but
You could, I would go gay for him. I mean, I feel like the typical, like maybe Chris Hemsworth or shit. That's really all that's popping in mind, and it feels real weird to say. I'm not gonna lie.
who cares, man?
Maybe Loki.
We're both pretty comfortable
Tom
with our
Hiddleston.
sexuality, so yeah,
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
All right.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
What about you, gay boy?
I think Ryan Reynolds is
Ooh,
my
okay.
dude.
All right, that's a good one.
If I have a celebrity male crush, it's either him or Will Smith.
I was gonna say Will Smith too.
Mhm.
I just watched I Am Legend last night, and so that was totally in my head.
Yeah,
Nice.
Those are the
That's
two.
a good one. That's a good one. I like that. All right, I got a weird one for you.
Okay. Hit me.
What size shirt does your mom wear?
Oh my god, like probably a men's medium.
I'm sorry if she's watching this, but I don't know why. I just thought that would be hilarious.
If my mom watches these, I'm sorry, Mom. Really? You raised a terrible child.
Yeah. What's that? I just thought a men's medium.
Yeah, something like that. I don't.
All right.
Yeah, like a
Women's
medium.
It really was more or less the point of just asking the question rather than hearing the answer of it.
Just to make me think about what shirt my mom wears.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, why would you ask that?
What about
question?
you, Dick Lips?
I'm gonna have to sit. Oh man, no, my mom doesn't have the patience to listen to this. So, maybe she's packing. So I'd have to say maybe like a. Damn, I don't want to be offensive. Like a women's medium to large.
Just say women's large.
A women's.
You wanted to say large and didn't.
I wanted to say large, but then she's not that big.
She's
so.
not. She's not. But they do make like XXLs and XXXXXX.
Yeah, I love the when the people think that they shouldn't get the size up, so they're like their bottom belly is just kind of hanging out of their shirt, like their belly button's
really
just saying hello to everybody.
That's right.
It's like, do you not notice that, or you just not care about it?
I think they just don't care. But I do see some that like when they fix their shirt or when they're just sitting there, it's normal. But then if they like sit down and stand up, then their belly pops out, and maybe they don't notice that. Or
how do you not notice that?
I don't know. It's so much fat down there that they've lost the feeling. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I
It's
don't
just
know.
literally loose skin with no sort of whatever nerves in it.
Yeah,
I hope not.
I don't think that's a thing. Maybe it is.
I don't know. We'll have to ask a fat person the next time we see him.
That'll
Do
be
you
it.
not know when your ass crack and your belly are showing?
Yes,
You
that'll be
just
a new
not
game
feel
that we
that?
do. Ask a fat person. Just bring a random fat guy off the street in here.
just ask him like 4 questions. Like, all right, get out.
Yeah, see you later. Here's a taco for your troubles.
Here's a taco for your troubles. Did you ask me the last one? Is it me or you? Oh, well, we were talking shirt size.
You asked me shirt size.
So
yeah.
go for it.
So, what is your favorite type of landscape and why?
Landscape. Oh man. So I got an interesting answer. So it's just to listen to would be like the beach. I guess you can count that, right?
Sure.
But literally one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever seen is when we were hiking and we walked, which has probably made it better, but we walked like 2 or 3 hours uphill, up steep fucking mountains. Finally got to an area where there was a rock that went out over the tip of the mountain. And so we got to sit there and just look over there's mountains all over. And then there's a river just running through the mountains right under us.
Yeah,
and it was
I remember that
so
vividly.
beautiful.
That's right, where you left your freaking hatchet.
Yeah, I left it sitting right there. Brand new hatchet, just fucking left it right
Idiot.
there.
But seriously, we're a little biased with those kinds of views too, because we have done that and you work to get that view, really. You know?
Yeah, and we just sat there in silence for like
It's-
10 or 15 minutes,
yeah,
just
it's
soaking
worth
it in.
Yeah, really, man. It's the greatest thing ever. If you haven't gone hiking for an extended period of time, highly recommend it. If you feel like you need a detox from society, that's the best way to do it by far.
Even if you just take a night out there or 2 nights, it's something that really makes you appreciate what you have, the luxuries that you have, and not only that, It's like I said, you can just sit there in complete silence and just really just think through things and not be bothered by anything.
Right.
You're not, you know, we take our phones, but we don't have them on us. So
I never pull it out.
Yeah, there's no looking at your phone. It's just complete focus on you, yourself, and kind of the sounds and what's around you. It's beautiful.
It is. There's nothing I've thought about that I enjoy more doing on a regular basis, because I can really just feel the negative energy leaving my body as you just sit there. Like you've been walking for 10, 12 miles. You take that backpack off and you put up your Eno, set the tent up, maybe have a little dinner, and then you lay back in your hammock and just listen to nature, especially if no other people are around.
Yeah, which is usual.
The best times.
So the first time we got down by that, we got down by a creek, and we had our hammocks up, and you just hear the babbling water and nothing else.
I was just smiling like a freak the entire time because I just I'd never felt such, because I was right in the middle of me waiting tables and stuff for a living too. So just being able to get away from people.
Those were some angry times for us.
Oh, they were. Let's not talk about that.
So I got another question for you.
Wait, did
you asked me the landscape?
I did. Right.
So, would you rather build your own personal house out of Legos or Lincoln Logs?
Legos. I think Legos would be more stable.
You think
on a large scale?
On a large scale? I guess if they're heavy.
I really think so.
I don't know. Lincoln Logs seem pretty steady, though.
Well, I know, but, I feel like you can connect more things to more other things with Legos.
That's true.
I don't know.
You would have to just stack the Lincoln Logs on
Lincoln
top
Logs
of each
only
other.
go at like 90 degrees and stuff. Too.
Right,
and you can put Legos in any kind of configuration almost that you want.
That's true. Okay. I think I'd have to agree with you. But if somebody just walked up, I guess if you do it really thick, no one could just punch their fucking hand through it. Just push the shit over.
Yeah, there's no Kyle's punching holes in drywalls.
No, there's not.
Not with the Legos. Gosh, man, Kyle would bust his hand open.
Yeah, I'd see if there was a way to configure the Lincoln Logs to kind of stack on top of each other on like opposites almost. That would be a better go because they would get heavier. They'd probably be more sturdy. But
you could technically make a house out of trees and make them
Lincoln
Logs.
Right. But I'm thinking of
Lincoln
like the wee ones, Yeah. There's like actual ones.
Right.
It would take forever, but you could do it.
Yeah, it would take forever with Legos too.
Yeah, they make some cool Lego stuff though, like Lego cars and all kinds of cool statues out of Legos.
And they utilize that sort of principle with, especially with sustainable housing and stuff like that now, because you can make things without mortar, and basically it's not really a Lego piece, but it really fits in well and it stays there without mortar.
Nice. I'm sure they'll think a lot of better ways to do that. It's all about positioning, which is actually, I don't know why this just came in my head, but you could actually ship a lot more things a year, like in trucks, if you could fit them together better. And the best way to actually fit them together is to pack everything in spheres.
Yeah.
You would pack a lot more things in a certain space than if it were squares or rectangles.
But what if the carrying space is a rectangle?
Right.
You would inherently have wasted space.
Exactly. And just putting your stuff in spheres, nothing comes in spheres. But I'm just saying, in an idea, that would save you more space, actually. So, anyways.
My turn.
Hit me with it.
If you had to try one exotic or forbidden meat, what would you go for?
I don't really know a ton of forbidden meats, I guess. I would try literally anything. Eyeballs would be tough for me. I know that's not what you're going for.
I meant like an animal.
Right. But I don't really know what's illegal that you can't eat.
Buzzard. Well, there's a lot that's
crow
illegal, but I'm just thinking just an exotic meat that you don't really think about people eating. They might eat it in other countries. Probably
I'm thinking
here, like cat.
Yeah. I would still be for eating cat or snake or monkey, whatever it is. I would try it.
Bush meat.
If it was I would still try it. If it's seasoned the right way and cooked properly, we're good.
You probably wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice.
If they stewed it down real good.
I know we domesticate things like horse. I would eat horse.
I would try it.
I don't know why people made such a... I know it's frowned upon as if you eat horse, but you remember when McDonald's went through that shit? There's there's horse meat in their burgers.
Yeah.
Who cares? Were you ever gonna know? Were you gonna stop shoving it in your face if you noticed that there was horse meat halfway through? You wouldn't care. You wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, and there were places in Mongolia and stuff where they just had so many horses and stuff. If one got injured and that kind of thing,
why wouldn't you? I mean,
it's saving energy, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could let other things kind of eat off of it, but still, if you have the chance to, you got to kill something anyways to eat it.
Yeah.
If it's already dying, you might as well just eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't.
Where do you draw the line? It's a tough.
Why do you
question to
draw the
answer.
line?
People draw the line at. I mean, I was gonna say furry mammals, but I mean cows are furry mammals.
Mm-hmm.
Bison and stuff are furry mammals. So I honestly hardly think there's any rhyme or reason to it. It just happens to be what we domesticated, what people are used to.
Yeah, what you think is cute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, people eat like fucking insects and cockroaches and.
I would try an insect. Yeah.
I
would, maybe not cockroaches but I would try like fried grasshoppers and stuff.
Yeah, I would have no problems with it.
It's like a land shrimp.
Yeah,
a land crustacean.
Who's to pick and say? I mean, I'm assuming what we eat now is just tastes better. That's why we do it. I would think, but overall, I don't really know. I mean, what seems more delicious than a big juicy cow? You know,
I mean, we're conditioned to see that though, man.
That's true.
There might be things that
but I'm
are
just
more
thinking of
delicious
cuts of meat that, I guess we don't see a lot of other cuts of meat.
A bison is real close to a
Ooh,
cow.
Yeah, I was thinking like a hippo. That would be weird, right?
That would be weird.
If you can get past its skin, leave it on like a fish. God, that freaks me out to think about.
Let's move on.
Is it mine?
It's your turn, I think.
Okay, pretty simple one here. Power Rangers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Power Rangers.
Ooh.
I was a Power Ranger kid when I was little.
I was too, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are just way cooler of a concept, I feel like. Like a weird concept. Like, who the fuck thought of turtles that do karate that live with a rat?
Somebody was doing acid, hanging out in the sewers.
Yeah.
And saw like a few turtles and a rat chilling, and they were like, what if a radioactive waste accident happened here?
Who seriously, who thinks of that? You take like the most harmless, slowest creature ever and teach it kung fu and shit like that and give it a katana. It just makes it badass right there.
I mean, they already have turtles are cool though. I think
they're cool, but
they
you don't
already
look
have
at
like an innate defense mechanism.
Right, but if you saw a high school and their mascot was like the Fighting Turtles, you'd be like,
there's already a college.
I'm sure there is.
University of Maryland.
The Simpsonville Snappers.
Yeah.
I just made that up, but
it flows.
It does
Good
flow.
job.
I appreciate it. All right.
So, what country would be the scariest to visit for you?
The scariest to visit?
For whatever reason you
probably Syria.
Head. Really?
Yeah, because I'm a white American. And
what about North Korea?
Nah, I feel like he's got a good sense of humor over there.
Good one.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, if he's friends with Donald Trump, and he made that movie with James Franco. You remember that? I'm just kidding. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. The Interview.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
That was a good movie. But yeah, I'd have to say Syria. I would just feel, I don't know. I mean, the people that are born in Syria don't feel safe, much less me being there, being a different or not of the same religion. And no, I don't think I'd want to be there.
Feel that?
Just being a white American in most places is probably frowned upon.
Yeah, people just have this odd stereotype of, I guess I shouldn't call it odd, but they have a stereotype of Americans we're imperialists, and that's...
Yeah, well,
we've taken that from our founding fathers from England. And
yeah, we said that for ourselves. And a lot of it is tourism, too. Like, we just haven't... But I hear there's bad tourism or tourists, rather, from every country. I think at first I heard it was Americans, but now people are just like, there's a lot of shitheads from every country. It doesn't matter where they come from. So, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Did you answer your own question? You didn't. Tell me.
Yeah, you're right. I was gonna say maybe like the Congo, which would be awesome in its own way, but at the same time, it's like run by militia. Or at least it was last time I checked.
And going from like what you have now to that would be tough.
It would be scary because at any time, like some guys could come up on a Jeep with AK-47s and machetes and just butcher me,
blast everyone. Yeah, that's tough too. Okay, that's a good one. All right, my last question here. And I don't really like it, but I'm gonna ask you anyway.
Bring it.
Would you rather have grown up playing baseball or golf?
Well, since you say that now, and I've been dealing with baseball injury for so long, I guess golf.
Yeah,
because I really
still pretty one-sided though. Yeah, not as bad as baseball.
No, and I'm not like putting as much torque as I can on golf. It's more about finesse than it is about power.
Yeah. Good mental
but looking
game
back,
too.
I guess I wouldn't do it any other way because I loved baseball, man. And I was good at it.
Yeah.
And,
You would have been good at golf too.
Yeah,
if you would
I
have
know.
practiced as much.
Yeah.
It's just not as much of like a team camaraderie type sport,
It's
you know.
not. But yeah, I don't know. Looking back with the knowledge I have now, maybe golf, but I know that I would just do it again the same way with baseball if I didn't.
Yeah, if you went back, you would do it the exact same way.
Yeah.
Easy question for me to answer. I'd go with golf.
Yeah.
I
Because baseball's not a sport.
I hate baseball. I really do. I wish I liked it, but I don't like it. And it's mainly because the players make me not like it. So
This is my last question.
okay.
I understand that
And
whole
then
point
we'll-
about the players making you not like it.
Yeah,
Too. I do
it's
get
easy.
that.
If I see somebody wearing that same dumb chain with a flat bill hat, I've seen that so many goddamn
They just
times.
think
I'm
they're
so tired of
much
it.
better than everyone too, man. A lot of guys
Like, you
that
just-
are
most
with
of you-
that stereotype you're
Right,
talking about
yeah.
with nice long sideburns.
Right. Most of you are fucking fat
Yeah,
anyways.
they drink it. Well, they will be later.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not while they're running and stuff
And,
during
like, high
baseball,
school,
but as soon
right.
as they stop running, they're gonna keep drinking Miller Lights constantly and
Oh
throw
god.
gut. Anyways,
Never been a fan. Go ahead.
this is my last question. Would you have a shit fight with a whole pack of bonobo monkeys lasting at least 30 minutes for $500?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would be covered in shit. And where would I get shit from? What do I throw
Their
at them?
shit. Your shit. Or
What am I gonna
shit
do?
in your hand and throw it at them.
Yeah.
And then throw their shit back at them.
I'm gonna have to eat like a bottle of hot sauce. That way, it just runs out of me. You know what I mean?
You know,
Because
there
I
is
need.
such a thing as X-Lax.
True. I would have to do something because you know I would be nervous
Eat
and
a
it wouldn't
whole
come
tray
out.
of laxative brownies.
I wouldn't know what to do at like shitting and throwing at the same time. This would be quite a circus.
It would be, wouldn't it?
I'm
It'd
not.
be
I don't think I'm a
new
fan.
type of culture.
What do you think? Do you think those monkeys would gain a sort of respect for me?
Maybe.
Like he's a good shit thrower.
This guy can throw his shit.
He's good. He's good. I saw him bobbing and weaving
Oh,
as
yeah.
we were throwing.
All right. So we're moving on to the main portion of our segment today.
Let's talk about cars.
Let's do just a little bit.
So we both have an affinity for cars.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, wherever it came from. I happen to work on cars a lot growing up, not by choice, just because mine broke down all the time, so I had to. So I learned to work on them as I went. And then, I don't know, we talk about cars everywhere we go because they're everywhere. It's hard not to. And then we watch a bunch of car shows and follow a bunch of car people. Just, I don't know. I don't know where, like, we first came in cahoots with that.
Why would you just scissoring yourself?
Because that's me and you coming together.
Oh.
Yeah, that's our idea.
A good visual for you all.
That's our ideas coming together.
Yes, very good. I don't really know where my affinity for cars came from. I didn't really start working on cars until basically until I started living with this guy. I didn't have any special connection with cars growing up. Not really.
Yeah, you had a Hyundai Elantra for a while. Of course you didn't.
It wasn't an Elantra.
Oh,
It
that's
was
all.
an Accent.
It's the same. It's a smaller car.
It is smaller. You're right.
That's great. All right.
But, I wanted to start off the segment with talking. I was gonna basically structure the segment to where we start with gas powered vehicles, talk about hybrids, and then get into electric.
Okay, I'm following
And
you.
the benefits we're in. Okay.
Sure.
So my first question is, what are the benefits to gas powered vehicles, and what is it that's going to hold us to gas powered vehicles and keep us from progressing to hybrid or an electric power as a majority?
I don't think we'll stay there for long. I think people will have their trinkets. Like there's something that just feels so good about driving a gas powered car and clicking into gears and hearing the mufflers and the exhaust. I don't think that'll ever go away for people that are big fans, but I think it'll peter out because the more people will start going to electric, we'll be able to do it for cheaper. It'll last longer. It'll be less to keep up with.
Yeah.
So it'll all around be more convenient in the future to just have electric cars. But I think there will always be some gas cars around. It's just like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain it, but I mean, it took a long time, I guess, probably not a long time, but a decent amount of time for people to switch from like horse and buggies to all vehicles. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's just going to kind of take that change of a mindset, as well as it being easier and more affordable and more efficient to have an electric car versus a gasoline car.
Yeah, and I think one of the main things too that's going to be a deterrent for people is that the lack of noise. That's like, especially for like gearheads and petrol heads.
Right. It's a huge plus for some people, but like a big negative for some.
But like,
others.
imagine buying like a supercar. A lot of the reason you buy it is for that really high pitched whine with like Ferraris and with
Like
the
the
Lexus LFA.
I was about to say the LFA
and that kind of stuff.
God.
I mean, that's like
you can't replace
that's
that.
like car porn, yeah.
But
really.
but also, I'm sure if you got in a Tesla Model X right now and just took off, it would change your mind pretty quickly.
Yeah, that too. I mean, and
just
they recently
feeling
have
that.
a Tesla out that goes 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds.
Is it the
and that kind of
Roadster?
stuff. Yeah, it's the new Roadster.
Oh, it's beautiful
the new
too.
S Roadster.
I'm so very excited.
But also the thing that's holding us there right now is just the ease of use and the accessibility of gas-powered cars. Because number one, they're cheap. Like, I mean, that's going to change over time. But number two, all the gas stations that there are, they're freaking everywhere, and you can find them in rural states and that kind of stuff instead of having to be on a main line or whatever to get electricity. You
Yeah,
have to mainly be in the cities to kind of find that stuff.
which is kind of cool that most electric stops are free. Like most electric people can just
For
go
now.
get free stuff. Yeah, until it
that's gonna
becomes.
change.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When it becomes more popular, but it's just one of those things that people have to invest more money into right now. So it's just way easier just to, of course, keep going with gas powered. More people are going to buy it. It's cheaper to produce. Like it's going to be around for a minute until we, like I said, we can either make the electric cars way more cheaper and efficient, and then people will start switching to that. Unless there comes some crisis and people just have to get out of gas cars, and there's going to be like fucking regulations on people, like the amount of time everybody can drive their own gas powered cars.
Yeah, who knows?
That
That
would be
might be a
interesting.
thing, man. Yeah, that'll cause some uproar in America, at least in a lot of places.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, in major cities, I don't know. Think if you replaced like the vehicles in New York City with just like electric scooters and shit like that, it would probably, everybody would get to work much faster. It would suck for a lot of people, especially if you have things to carry and families and stuff. You really can't get in a scooter together. But just an idea of just imagining what it would actually look like for no cars to be there and it just be a bunch of electric scooters. It'd be pretty much quiet.
That, and it'll be like, I think public transportation might excel into the future too as population grows, and especially for the cities. And public transportation potentially can be really fast as well.
Yeah.
As far as
Like having electric,
or having like a monorail train going like 300 miles an hour or whatever.
Yeah, I think in the future, public transportation like that will become a lot more, I guess, used or utilized.
Prevalent, yeah.
It has to, because I mean, as many cars that are on the road, if like, I don't know, just say 20 cars, that's a lot of cars. You can put all those people in a bus pretty easily, and that's what's one bus. You know, it sucks that, it doesn't go to the exact destination that you have to go, but overall, I think it'll have to be used, especially with population and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's going to be a hard scenario to think out. But there's not a lot to talk about with gas vehicles. Everybody knows kind of the reasons that they use them.
Yeah.
So we can move on to hybrids unless you got something.
I'll just bust out some questions for you.
Hit me.
For a few questions, just because we do talk about cars a lot. I would feel remiss if I didn't talk about my favorite cars.
Okay. We can
Cars that I thought about growing up, and my favorite cars now, which we have a lot of similarities there.
Fair.
But so let me ask you this: what was your favorite or your first favorite car? Like you know what I mean? I feel like everyone has that car that they just dreamt about as like a kid.
Honestly, do you remember a car called the Prowler?
Yeah, there's a picture. There's a poster of it on my room in my old bedroom that I just showed you.
my brother used to have one.
Yep.
A poster, and
They
that's
were
where my
beautiful,
first one.
man.
Yeah. Wow.
Until you see one in person, and they're just like,
I've never seen one in person.
They're
Yeah,
The posters are way better.
I'm sure.
That's why they never really became that popular. I'd have to say my first one, though. I did have a Prowler up on my bedroom as a kid, but I think a Dodge Viper
Yeah.
was like one of my favorites.
It's a good one.
The blue Dodge Viper with the white stripes.
Mm-hmm.
What an angel of a car.
Yeah, those things.
What a
are
fucking
crazy,
hoss
man.
of a car.
I would love to drive some.
That's a pure
some
American
shit
car
like
right
that.
there.
Yes, it is. Just a big ass engine and rear wheel drive.
So
a Corvette pushed to the max.
yeah, pretty much. Oh, and the new Corvettes are beautiful too.
Yeah.
Oh man,
They'll get better. They look a little bulky for me right now.
they're wide. Yeah, they definitely are.
They'll get better.
Yeah. Well, so what car would you buy under $100,000 if you could buy any one of them? I know I've asked you this like 100 times in the past, but
yeah, maybe you have. I don't know. That's a tough one. Any car.
any car under 100K.
Yikes. Maybe. Oh, Maybe like an Audi RS6.
See, exactly what I thought my answer was going to be, so I looked up the price.
It's not a.
It's 115. So close.
All right, then maybe like a Nissan GTR.
Yeah, that's where I thought you would go with it. It's hard not to go to the GTR. They're just, I mean, are they as good as they have always been? I feel like they're
better.
Are they getting better?
Yeah, I mean, they're because they have more horsepower and stuff. Like they used to be, as far as I remember, rear-wheel drive, and they slowly started getting into all-wheel drive. As far as I know, I might be wrong.
Yeah, it'd be hard for me to find anything. I wonder if those F-Pace Jaguars are under 100,000.
They're like 60.
Those are fucking beautiful.
They are really nice.
I would probably still go with the GTR over that. But if I had to pick something different than you, what is the F? Yeah, it's the F-Type, right? Sport, F-Type Sport, whatever.
Oh, you're talking. So did you say F-Type or F-Pace? F-Pace is the.
That's the SUV, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of the F-Type. I did say
F-Type
F-Pace.
is still under 100.
Okay.
It's under 100.
I totally said the F-Pace, but I meant the F-Type.
That's still tough though. There's so many cars, like, because I would like to get an electric vehicle at some point too.
Yeah. Well, you can't even get a Model X under 100,000, can you?
No. But I was gonna say that you can get a Model 3 all the way souped up.
Yeah.
And it's still freaking very nice.
Yeah,
and it's probably like 70 or something like that.
Those Model X's, I can't get over them, man. They're beautiful.
They are very nice. And what really kills me about those, I told you about how the Model X beat the Ford Mustang GT around the track.
Yeah.
And the Mustang GT weighs like 3,500 pounds, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
And it's a sports car, it's meant to be fast. And the Tesla Model X is like 5,500 pounds, and it's super top heavy, and it beat the Mustang GT around the track by like more than a second or two.
Right. It's like a mom car, and that shit is so fast.
I made me laugh because we hate on Stangs so much.
Yeah. Don't even go on that. But didn't the Focus RS beat the 350 GT? Or the 350R, whatever it's called, around the track.
Did it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Wow. I know it beat the GT.
Yeah, I'd have to go back
by a
and
pretty
look,
solid margin.
But I think it was only like barely like a step above it. But still,
That's
like
funny.
a Ford Focus RS beating a racing Mustang around the track.
That goes to show that some thought and ingenuity and all-wheel drive will do a lot instead of just throwing a V8 engine and putting rear-wheel drive on it.
Yeah, put a 4-cylinder
This thing
or
is
a
badass.
V6. You put a God, I can just hear that redneck's voice that you're talking about. But I can
It says pause on the screen.
that was
Sorry.
But damn it, you took my thought.
I'm sorry.
God damn it, son.
We were talking about Mustangs, and I said this thing's badass. Talking about
that was funny. That redneck
American.
the American, right?
Yeah.
So, another kind of pondering question, and then we can kind of move on. I wrote a ton of like just random facts, like how the Interstate was made for the military, and then
I didn't know that.
yeah, actually, the Interstate system was created during like World War I and World War II. It was created for the military's use to get across the country fast, and then we just eventually built. It was made after the Autobahn in Germany.
Okay.
That's where we got the idea from.
I wish we had the same rules as the Autobahn, and people would have some actual lane discipline. And
Yeah,
stuff.
I would be terrified, man, because it fucking running into people. But what do you think what do you think transportation as a whole will look like in 500 years? I don't want to
500 years.
Yeah, I don't want to skip to anything that you may have written down, but that's why I went with 500 years.
In 500 years, the way that I'm picturing it is a lot of it's going to be underground.
Yeah, I think it's going to be literally just little tubes type thing that basically just send you wherever you want to go, little capsules, little pods. Yeah. I think all of it will be automated.
Yeah.
I don't think humans will do anything when it comes to transportation. It'll all be automated.
But there should definitely be tracks and stuff still where people can drive gas-powered cars if they want to,
In 500 years, I can't imagine it'll even be legal. Or you think we'll still be pumping oil out of the ground in 500 years?
Maybe. I mean, because that's like saying we're going to get rid of plastics and that kind of stuff too. So
we can still go to more sustainable energies, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking oil is used for plastic and stuff too. That's what I'm saying.
True. Okay.
Used for actual consumer goods. So it's tough to say we'll ever completely stop doing it. I'm
Maybe
sure
just
they'll
not on the
always
scale.
maintain some sort of pipeline somewhere, but
right.
I don't know. That's a tough question.
Interesting. I don't have anything else that would deter us from going to where you were headed.
I was also thinking a little bit about flying cars, but I just don't know how feasible that's ever going to be.
So that was actually one of my questions I've written down. Would you ever take an autonomous air taxi? I heard that like Hyundai's kind of working on this. I don't know if it's true or maybe just like a concept they have.
Well, I say no.
But it's like a helicopter that just comes and picks you up.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is like I was thinking about it for a second. At first, I was thinking no, but then at the same time, I would probably trust a computer more to drive it than I would another person.
I would definitely trust it wouldn't be the computer that would be the problem. It would just be helicopters are really loud and obnoxious. I wouldn't want that coming to my house. Mm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
then I think a lot of that, because helicopters, like everything else around, are gas powered. I wonder how quiet an electrically powered helicopter would
with
be.
That rotor moving as fast as it does, that propeller. Whee! Yeah, that's got to be loud. That's got to be. I think that's probably most of the sound. Is that? I mean, I don't actually know. I've never been in a helicopter.
I don't think so.
But it just seems like it would still be incredibly loud.
Yeah, it would be loud, I'm sure. But I really think most of the sound is whatever engine is powering that thing.
True, and whatever weight that it weighs and whatever load it's carrying is just going to make it have to push that much harder, which is going to take that much more fuel, and it's going to be that much louder.
I really don't know, though. It might be the passing of the propellers. I don't actually know. So. Oh, well.
I got to tell you a few more of my favorite cars growing up.
Okay.
So it went from the Dodge Viper, then I jumped to the Subaru STI. Just a beautiful car, which is basically your car is my favorite car. So
yeah, my car was my favorite car for a while before I actually got it. So I'm blessed in that area.
I think after the STI, I was like, okay, that's not as feasible. Maybe something more realistic, like a Golf R. And then
Golf Rs are more expensive.
Yeah. Well, now that I see them, I don't really care for them. They look exactly like a GTI or a regular Golf, which I just don't like. They should look sportier, right? They should have more curves, and they look exactly like a Golf or GTI.
You wouldn't know.
No, except for the R badge. So I got rid of that one, and then I jumped up big time and went to the RS6, which that and the McLaren P1 are still like my favorite cars.
The P1 is definitely my favorite car. We're gonna flash a picture of the P1 up right now, just to show you how beautiful
you have to look at it.
Just stare for at least a few more seconds, because goddamn,
that all black,
that thing is gorgeous. And knowing the kind of performance that it has under that hood and what it sounds like, what it would be like to drive, if I could pick one car to drive, that's what I would. Yeah. And another thing about it too is it's a hybrid, and it can go on full electric drive. On hybrid drive, it can get like over 50 miles to the gallon, Pretty cool.
Pretty crazy for how much of a engine is in that thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's a 4.0 liter twin turbo V8 with like a 200 horsepower electric engine.
That's insane, man.
All right, so we're going to get into hybrids now.
Let's jump into hybrids.
We were just talking about the McLaren P1. So basically, we're going to talk about efficiency ratings here. Well, at least like that's kind of my goal. Because it's really tough to measure efficiency when it comes to comparing gas and electric vehicles. But the main thing with hybrids is those are the stepping stone, I guess, to getting to full electric power.
Yeah, I think so.
Because some hybrids can go straight to just hybrid drive or straight to just electric drive.
And it makes that engine, like that combustion engine, so much smoother too. So for anywhere where it would lag, that's the electronic engine or whatever comes alive, I guess, in its gaps, and it fills in everything. It makes it more,
because it has that instant torque. You don't have to wait for some sort of power band. There's none of that.
Yeah, no turbo lag, any of that kind of stuff. Just instant power.
Yeah, that's a huge perk of hybrids and electric cars in general, since they just have the straight instant torque. Maybe not the longevity of a long race that maybe a gas powered vehicle has right now.
Yeah, that's one of the toughest things that they have to get to, is just making the batteries lighter and last longer, which is like, I think that's one of the biggest things. If anyone wants to accomplish something in their life, go make a really efficient battery, and you'll change the world. I think that's a huge thing that needs to be worked on, especially when it comes to, and I won't go down this road, but just to mention it, solar power. Like, we're really good at absorbing it, but it's storing it and keeping it and bringing it back into a different like bringing it back at a different time or moving that power and reusing it. That's what's actually hard to do.
Right. And batteries in general are kind of a problem too. That's like one of the biggest deterrents to us going full electric.
Just like having extra batteries laying around.
Yeah, because they can potentially pose some serious environmental problems with the rare metals or whatever, like lithium and whatever kind of chemicals are in the batteries that help do that. If somebody doesn't dispose of that, help hold the charge. If somebody doesn't dispose of them properly, then those things can leak into the water. It's the watershed. That's the
supply, whatever.
Yeah.
You can put it all in a big spaceship and just launch it into space.
Yeah.
We'll just do that like once. You'd have to do it every day with this amount of cars that are out there.
Yeah, and it would, think about how heavy batteries are too. Like it would be.
Yeah, that would be so much costly fuel. Yeah. Oh God.
I'm sure they've considered that and then realized it's just not fucking worth it.
No. I don't think. I think we've thought about that with like our trash and shit too, like launching that in space. Even though, if you go on the NASA's website and look around the Earth, it just looks like a bunch of trash floating around anyways. I can't imagine. Just can't imagine if, I know I've said this 100 times too, but if we were visited by like some extraterrestrials, they would just see our planet and be like, that is a place full of trash and little naked whatever type creatures.
Naked mole rats.
Yeah, just wandering around in their own trash and filth. It's like, nah, we're good. We'll go to the next one. We'll see what else is around.
Yeah, we'll get better, man. We'll get better. I have to hope we will.
I mean, it feels like we've gotten worse if we're just talking about the trash problem. I mean, you have to think of like humans like 100,000 years ago. There probably was like hardly any waste.
Yeah, because they couldn't hide it from themselves so well. Nowadays, like we have landfills, and people don't realize the trash that they're making because they just put it at the end of the road and it's gone the next day.
Yeah.
So people in that way aren't really accountable for the waste.
Go to New York City and just walk down the street on the days they put out the trash, just fucking fill with trash down the street.
It's ridiculous, man, and that's where like we need to start recycling more than we are. People need to go out of their way to recycle. Yeah. Because it'll really be worth it. Because and you have to recycle correctly too. And it's the same thing with batteries. I really think that the recycling of batteries will get better and better and better. Yeah. And as we get rechargeable batteries too, if anybody throws away some sort of electric car, they can recycle those batteries and make new ones out of them.
Yeah. I actually saw something where cars themselves are already like 75% recyclable. Which actually, that's pretty astonishing.
That's great.
You can take an old car and just melt down the metal, reframe it, reshape it, and you have a new car.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we're as we realize the problems with the amount of trash and waste that we come up with all of our inventions and all of our technology. We're gonna get better at being more efficient with our actual materials and using everything, instead of just throwing it in the garbage and realizing way later down the road that could have been used for something else.
Right. And also what's kind of crazy, just, talking about going from gas power to hybrid power. I saw another little statistic that the average car costs, just the average car, there's a lot of things combined into this as far as emissions, just wear and tear, maintenance. A car basically costs about 540,000 square feet loss of habitat, if that makes any sense. So for every car, we lose that much of habitat just for how much pollution and shit that goes into it.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is it's tough to get those numbers because
it's
I feel like those are inflated
obviously.
Numbers too. Yeah, because the people who come up with those numbers are the ones that are trying to cause a change and make people think about the cars they're consuming. And that's like another thing with So I'm going to use that to segue into how people relate the efficiency of gas power to electric power. And it's a lot more complicated than you might think from the outside looking in. So there is a MPGE, so it's a miles per gallon equivalent. But basically all that does is it uses BTUs, British thermal units, to compare how many miles you get in a gallon and how many miles you get from a kilowatt. Or from a kilowatt hour. So
nice.
This is the conversion rate that they use. So it is 1 gallon of gas produces 115,000 British thermal units, which is just a measurement of heat. And then 37.3 kilowatt hours produces 115,000 BTUs. So basically 1 gallon of gas equals 37.3 kilowatt hours. And so if something gets like 100 miles per 37.3 kilowatt hours, then they'll get 100 miles per gallon in the MPG.
Gotcha.
thing. So, but that's also a very misleading metric to people, because that doesn't take into account the coal or natural gas that they burn to get that, or the nuclear power would be the best case scenario because nuclear power is highly efficient and very clean. Yeah. But it can be a very misleading thing, because you can say, oh, this car gets 100 mpge, but then you're also not thinking about the pollution at the source of the production of energy. So it's that kind of stuff. It's a misleading number.
Just going into the factors or going into the numbers of a factory itself, making it, all the water, all the electricity, all the coal power it takes. Yeah, because
it's only as good as the factory producing the energy.
Right. Which is really cool that they do like green factories and green businesses. And I can't remember what it's actually called, but you can make your whole business or your whole building whatever kind of green. I wish I could remember the damn name. I didn't plan to talk about it, but it's just a way of making your building really efficient. So like the water's recycled, the lights cut off by themselves.
Yeah,
like
we'll talk more about that next episode, because I could get into like to biofuels and that kind of stuff now, but we don't have to do that right now. Yeah. We can continue talking about cars and maybe talk about the amount of horsepower that you can fit into a electric car as compared to like a gas powered vehicle.
It's hard to, obviously it wouldn't be horsepower, but they do compare it to horsepower now. But it's an insane amount. I mean, you see cars nowadays, like especially supercars that are just popping up everywhere, that are like 1,700 horsepower. Like, that doesn't even make sense. You
can't use all that most of the time.
You can never use that, and you can use it just like once just to test it out. But I mean, I think the new Bugatti just got over 300 horsepower. Or 300 miles per hour. It just hit the record for over 300 miles per hour.
Wow.
It's like, why would you'd never need that. No. I mean, there would just never be a point. There's only like maybe one or two racetracks in the world where you can even get up to that sort of speed.
Man, they were, I was watching the Grand Tour and he was talking about driving the Bugatti, and he said if you drive the Bugatti flat out to run its engine tank out or to run its fuel tank out, it will deplete its tank in 9 minutes.
Sounds like a fucking jet.
He said it's the equivalent of drinking 7 shots of gas every second.
Wow, that's insane.
Isn't that absurd?
But I mean, that's the
V16 quad turbo.
Yeah, quad turbo, right? Of course, that has to just.
That's a lot of weight, man.
Right.
It's tough, man. And batteries will get lighter and all that kind of stuff too. And I'm curious as to what they'll be able to come up with in the next 5 years that'll maybe be faster around a track as far as electric power versus gas power goes.
I wrote down a few things of just kind of the future technology that they're coming out with, and I may be skipping ahead a little bit, but it's okay, we'll go with it. But they're thinking about wheel hub motors, you know what I mean? So they're actual motors that go for each wheel. So they can either be electric, and that gives you like all the differentials you need, because they can move at different times and speeds and stuff. It's just like what a lot of like supercars now, they have like I think the NSX, it has like two or four of the tires have like their own electric engines to them.
I think the NSX has 3 electric motors at least.
Yeah, or something. I can't remember. Like 2 electric and 1 gas. I don't remember. But they run each wheel, so they're thinking about just little. Like you can completely get rid of the engine and stuff and just put a little like electric power thing on the wheel hub itself.
Yeah, it's like a super advanced all-wheel drive.
Yeah, that would be super crazy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you would charge all that and know how to do any of that, but that's just one of the things. Another one is wireless charging. So that would be cool if you can. I'm sure they'll have it once we get more into electric vehicles and hybrids. Like you imagine just pulling up into your garage and the floor has whatever pad in it, and it just charges your car when you pull up to it.
Yeah,
that would be insane.
Yeah, it would. I'm sure that's not as far off as we think.
No,
it's probably
I don't
already
think so.
A thing.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean they already have like solar panel shingles. Yeah, sorry, I was going to say shutters, but shingles. Yeah, and they look exactly like shingles on a house, but they are solar powered. Like that's insane. To me, that's just bizarre.
Imagine having we're getting more into energy now, and this is going to be a really interesting podcast, which I'm very much looking forward to. But if you could make a purely sustainable house, like I wouldn't really care how my house looked as long as it performed well. So like a full house made of entirely solar panels, pretty much, as long as the sun touches it, it'll have solar panels on it, and you could arrange the orientation of the house to take advantage of passive solar power. So like you could basically heat and cool your house with the blinds in your house if you set it up correctly.
Exactly. And you can light your house if you set it up correctly. Just they I can't remember what they actually, some sort of architecture they do to set it up, like, with the sun rises here, so we'll put windows here and it'll light the house the way it's kind of directed throughout. That's super cool. I mean, you can, like you said, heat, cool, light, do all that if it's just built the right way. Yeah. But it's hard to do that in a neighborhood. You can't obviously do that with every house in the neighborhood. Yeah, no. It'd have to be kind of its own specific thing.
Imagine if they made like government assisted housing, like a huge complex that's basically all completely sustainable like that.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll make neighborhoods like that. It'll just be, it's one of those things, just like anything else. Like the rich people are going to have it first that can pay the stupid amount of money, and they're going to have the best things just to brag about. And then eventually it'll become more efficient and easier to make, and then that's kind of when everybody starts to get it. It's just like cars, it's just like everything, rich people get it first. Flying in planes, that was them first. So another one, this is my last one, and this one I've heard about a little bit more, but hydrogen engines. I know Toyota's doing this. The only thing with it is you don't want to have a tank full of hydrogen gas on your car.
We learned about that very early. The Hindenburg.
Yeah, so that shit will explode insanely. But to me, it kind of like, I don't know exactly how they're using the hydrogen, but to me, it makes me think of 2 points. First of all, that reminds me of like nuclear fusion or fission. Like if we're just either pushing the atoms together or pulling them apart to create energy.
That's what that is.
Like that's a nuclear reactor essentially. And then
except it doesn't have uranium or plutonium.
Right, exactly. It would just be hydrogen. And then I've also heard of like when our space shuttles go to places, so like say we send something out to Mars, the way that it would get fuel, and I could be just bullshitting this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. The way that we'd get fuels is by separating hydrogen atoms for like oxygen atoms and stuff like that, and using that hydrogen as fuel. And like, so we can basically run stuff off of like water. And stuff like that. Which is insane. It's super cool. Yeah. Obviously, that wouldn't be something that they would put in cars or anything like that for a long time. It's just really unsafe, and if the wrong thing happens, you're gonna have a huge explosion.
A catastrophe.
You don't want little nuclear reactors driving around everywhere. Not with the fucking idiots that we have.
Nope.
It kind of reminds me of like just how much I hate traffic. And that would be a beautiful thing when autonomous cars come, is it'll alleviate traffic.
It'll be perfect.
Once we start going underground and stuff with our travel, which is
so fast. Yeah.
Which people I don't think have caught the full concept of. Like Elon Musk is already working on it, creating tunnels under LA. And I mean, you can go as far down pretty much as you want. We don't have to go that far. But obviously, we're driving 3D cars on like a two-dimensional sort of grid here, and if we could go up and down, we have some bridges, but we can go way further down than we can go up. So it just makes more sense to go under the ground.
Yeah.
And then it's actually way more stable, because I heard that even if you have some sort of like concrete tunnel or something underground, even if there's an earthquake, it's actually better to have it under the ground like that. It flexes with the ground more rather than it being on top of it.
Interesting.
I don't know why I just thought of that, but it just popped in my head.
It's relevant.
And also, traffic collisions are the largest cause of injury-related deaths every year, according to the World Health Organization.
Right.
Like we gotta stop allowing people to drive their cars. I know it's beautiful. I know we all love. Well, not all of us. Some of us probably hate driving, but for like gearheads and people like us that just love being in cars most of the time, and it's so great. I would much rather computers be driving our cars than the people out on the road be driving
most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary, and most people aren't even paying attention. They're just on their phones anyway.
Right, and it would just make traffic so much more efficient. Like, I really want to make traffic signs that say, like, zipper effect. One person let one in, go.
We're going to have some traffic courses on this bitch.
Yeah, seriously. I feel like just if everybody could keep in mind that the zipper effect, then it would
I don't
help
think
traffic.
people know what you're talking about.
They don't. The zipper effect is, think about how a zipper works. One car lets one person go in front of them, and then they move along. Next car lets one person go, and then they move along. And it just keeps going like that.
And everyone is courteous. Everyone...
Use your fucking turn signal.
Yeah. It's not that hard. Look, check this out. There's like a whole 2 inches between your hand on the steering wheel and the actual blinker indicator knob thing. Just fucking click it. You just barely have to move your hand. Even if there's no one around, even if you're not indicating to anyone, just make a habit of just using it every time you change a lane, turn a corner, anything. Just it's right there. It's on the car. It's not very hard.
Real damn easy.
Just fucking do it. And these people in their big ass goddamn trucks switching over 3 lanes of traffic with no blinker. It's like at one point I really want them to like run over somebody just so they can feel the guilt, but at the same
rather
time,
them run themselves off the road.
Yeah, true, but that's less likely. So let me switch this up because I have a little game I want to play with you.
Okay.
And so what I'm gonna do here is
going to be our end of the podcast game here, because we never really came up with one of those.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. I had something on catalytic converters I was going to talk about a little bit, but who the hell wants to talk about catalytic converters? So.
None of our listeners.
I will have to say
Not
that
me either.
I will say for the gasoline engines that we have, and because we've had them for so long, we've at least made progressions within that. So what a catalytic converter is, basically it just burns off the excess fuel and emissions that you have in your car. It's basically what we put on cars along with mufflers and stuff like that to put less emissions out.
That's another thing. Before I forget about it,
so we've made some strides.
Is a lot of the times like with electric cars, it's easier when you can refund the batteries some of the energy losses, like during braking. That can be converted into.
You can refunnel it back into more energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've gone somewhere with it. Like emissions are definitely way down. And a cool thing with like car industry, just like mega people in the industry, is that they have regulations on them where like if they create if they manufacture a bunch of big trucks and they all get shitty gas mileage and bad emissions, they have to equal it out. They have to balance it out with making electric cars and hybrids and stuff like that. So they're only, over their whole lot of cars that they manufacture, they're only allowed to get to a certain threshold of emissions. So they kind of have to balance it out with all the cars that they make. And I think that's great. I think we're on the way to making good progress. It's just, I think we're doing it too slowly because it costs too much and people don't want to spend that money. And then also it's just, it's a huge change and people just don't want to do it.
That's one good thing about communism or whatever, is that
just
if a change needs to happen, you just make it happen.
You just make it happen. There's no people
There's
bickering.
less freedom.
There's no people bickering about it for 10 years before. It's like people with seatbelts. They didn't have seatbelts in cars for forever. Right. And thousands of people had died before they were like, all right, fuck it, just put the seatbelt in. You know what I mean? So it's like, how long do we have to do that with gas cars until we get the fucking hint that we should probably switch it up?
Yeah, but another actually, since I'm thinking about it, potentially an important thing about electric cars is that there are a lot less moving parts. So maybe there wouldn't need to be all that extra carbon footprint to produce spare parts for these things. Because there's just not as many of them. Yeah,
as far as the engine itself, I mean, you still probably, you have like your chassis and your axles and all that kind of stuff.
But I mean, as far as like engine bay stuff.
Yeah,
there's not like a whole engine block like that. It's not the same thing. There's not pistons. There's not any of that.
Right, exactly. It's just batteries.
Right. There's a lot less heat wear and that kind of stuff.
I would think batteries would produce a good amount of heat.
They produce heat, but it's not as much as gasoline vehicles do.
Really?
It's not. As far as what my brother told me, maybe I heard him wrong.
No, I don't know. I don't know because I know an engine stays around 210 degrees because you have thermostats to keep it cool at that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but just think about it this way. So like on every gas car ever, pretty much there is a grill on the front. There aren't any grills on the electric cars,
right?
Because they don't need it.
So I guess they don't have to cool down the batteries as they go.
I mean, they do. I'm sure have to keep them cool to some capacity.
Right.
But I don't think it's as
because that would be a sucky thing to overheat and blow up. Mm-hmm. Jeez. Yeah, I can definitely understand people's sort of what is the word I'm looking for? Why they wouldn't want to do it. Wouldn't want to make the switch to electric cars. I'm sure it can be scary, but ultimately it's the way we're gonna have to go. And change is scary. I mean, think about some of them older gentlemen that have had their Chevy trucks for forever. Put them in a Model X or a Model S.
They're gonna have to die
and say, "Get over it."
They're never gonna. They're gonna have to die.
We're just gonna have to clean out those people and start over. All right, so I want to hit you with some questions. I'm gonna hit you with them in quick succession, and I want you to just answer back. Okay. And what it is going to be, basically, it's going to be...
I have to answer very quickly.
Correct. Okay. So it's going to be car makers, and you just tell me which one you'd want between this one or that one, X or Y.
Makers.
Sure.
Okay.
So Bentley or Rolls-Royce?
Bentley.
Okay. Range Rover or Land Rover?
Aren't they the same thing?
I don't know. Just go with it.
Range Rover.
Oh, no, I would go with Land Rover. You're wrong on that one.
Okay.
McLaren or Pagani?
McLaren.
Oh, that's a tough one to say. I know I love McLaren, but Pagani, Jesus. Porsche or BMW?
Porsche.
Ooh, yep. Audi or Nissan?
Nissan.
That was a dagger to my soul there. This one people will have to look up because they probably don't know either of these.
To me, that was like GTR versus
yeah, or an
R8
or an NSX. Oh, that's Acura. That's still Nissan, right?
No,
damn
Acura's Honda.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, people probably won't know this one, but Caterham or BAC? Yeah, I knew that was gonna be
a tough.
That's gonna be a tough.
BAC,
because the Caterhams are really cool looking.
They are really unique, and I feel like they're just more old fashioned looking.
Yeah, they are. But those BACs are little Indy cars, and they're so awesome. Badass, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, last one, and this one's a tough one, and it might not make sense, but I'll make it make sense. Subaru or Tesla? And I know they're two completely different things, but I know you love Subaru, and Tesla's a better idea. So I just wanted to see which one you'd pick.
If I could afford a Tesla, I would go with a Tesla.
You would get rid of your Subaru to have a Tesla?
To have a Model X, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised you said that. I had to ask. So
that's a tough choice to make. Yeah. That's something that it would be painful for me.
Yeah.
Because
just the sound
like
of it.
Me as a person,
you know,
I don't know.
I mean?
Like I'm connected to that car. Me and that thing have a lot in common.
You hear those turbos just power up,
and the all-wheel drive too, and that's like. Tesla would have to, I guess, I don't know, I might have to rescind my thing because Tesla might have to make more of a sleek car, like a compact-ish
What about their
X.
Roadster or something?
Because I like the hatchback, though. I like having a hatchback.
I bet eventually they'll come out with a hatchback.
That's what I'm saying.
I think a lot of people I think hatchback's coming back. Like the V60 Volvos, those are beautiful.
They are.
I mean, you see a lot of Audis. I think there are a lot of hatchbacks. Yeah, I don't know. There can definitely be some ugly hatchbacks. I feel like most either like
a lot of the hatchbacks I've been seeing lately, they just seem too bulky. Like that's why I love my generation of cars. It doesn't seem too bulky. It seems sleek.
Yeah,
it still has a pretty low center of gravity.
Yeah, I think the hatchbacks that we like are smaller hatchbacks almost. And they're not, I don't know. To me, they're not that efficient as hatchbacks, or at least for myself, just with the Audi I had. Because, I mean, even though it was a hatchback, it was super small and I couldn't fit anything inside of it. You think you get a hatchback for, like, the extra room? Yeah, I didn't have any extra room.
I kind of do for the extra headroom. And, like, I've been able to fit a lot of stuff in my Subaru. I really have.
Yeah, true. Yours is a way fatter back end than mine was. Mine's kind of a lower top, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's all I got.
Good questions.
Yeah, that's really it for me.
Very nice.
I've hit on most of my notes.
Yeah, I think I've hit most of them.
I saw that Sony's actually coming out with a electric car.
Really?
Yeah, it looks pretty much exactly like a Model 3. But it's Sony's car.
Curious about that.
Yeah, I'd say look into it, you know.
What I was going to say is that I have seen several cars on the side of the road on fire. Because people just don't take care of them. If an electric car bursts into flames, firefighters will have to be equipped for that. Because electrical fires don't really get put out with water. So
yeah, that would be. What do you just smother it? Or put a big sheet over it and just smother it to the ground or something?
Like
I don't even know.
Just a typical fire extinguisher, I think will do it.
Oh yeah, probably
like that kind of powder.
Yeah,
I don't really know though.
Just on large scale for an actual car vehicle, that'd be kind of insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll have to be something. I'm sure they're probably working on it. You know, I'm sure they have it in mind because they know that. You know, I'm sure there's been cases already where electric cars have gone up in flames and people have had to deal with it. I can't imagine how much stress and bullshit Tesla goes through. Because when you think of like electric vehicles, you think of Tesla.
I mean, think about the lashback that they got from GM and all that kind of stuff. Like,
dude, nobody can fuck with Tesla. Man.
I know that. At first, well,
they almost failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably because of all that pushback that they got from people.
I mean, he had to expect that. I mean, I think they were open for like over 5 years and they were still about to go bankrupt. Like, it wasn't until recently where they actually like clicked off, and now of course, Elon Musk is worth a ton of money, but now Tesla's actually like functioning well. And he makes so many, I don't know, I'm getting off on just a Tesla rant, but Elon Musk makes so many like stringent demands, like, we're going to have this car out by this time, no exceptions. And it's like really fast or what you wouldn't expect. So he makes his people work really hard. But I mean, as far as the electric car game, I don't know who's fucking with him.
Nobody, right now GM and all of those excuse me, all of those American makes.
Yeah, I mean, you have like a Chevy Volt. I mean, you do have.
They're doing that, and other, I mean, Japanese makes too are getting into it.
I mean, they had electric vehicles. I remember like 10 or 15 years ago, but people didn't like them. They just thought it would be dumb, so they got rid of them. And this may have been even longer ago, and now they're just starting to, like, those car companies that made one a long time ago are finally starting to come back. But it's crazy when other people get introduced, like Sony and people like that you just wouldn't think make cars. Like Google has her, automated cars and stuff like that. I think it's super cool what you'll see who will get in the game. It's really a whole different game when you go from combustion engines to electrical engines. So, obviously a whole different process.
It is completely different. But that's like, I think too, a lot of the lashback that I've heard from switching to electric to gas is that people see it as like a fad almost. And they're sick of hippies saying zero emissions and all that kind of stuff. And like, I get that, but at the same time, it is more efficient. Not just at the, I mean, as far
just
as what
post-production,
the research I did. I mean, yeah, and like I said before, you're only as good as the power plant you have to use to get it. And so when somebody says it's zero emission, it's zero emissions at the point of your wheels hitting the ground. Right. But as far as actual zero emissions, there's nothing that's actually zero emissions.
Yeah, I mean, just to make anything and create anything,
except for solar power,
it's going to cost some sort of power.
That's true. And solar power will become more and more prevalent. But as we talked about before, putting solar powers on vehicles and stuff like that probably won't do a whole lot except for to maybe power the electronics for
there's not enough surface area on the car and for it to be exposed to sunlight like that for a longer period of time. But I think you, like you said, it'll be a fad. Like, I mean, you already see Teslas all over the place. I mean, I think once it came out, and then I know people hate on the Tesla truck, Cybertruck that's coming out, but I swear to God, as soon as it hits, people will be like, that shit's kind of badass just because of how different it is. And then you're going to start seeing them all over the place.
You're going to start seeing one of those things like pulling the most badass diesel truck.
Yeah, like it's my Cummins engine. I hate that shit. It's just such a waste. I have no problems with everyone having their own opinions and doing what they want to do. That's fine, I guess, even though your right should only extend as far as the next person's. But if you have just some huge fucking truck that gets 7 miles to the gallon's got a huge exhaust coming out of it, it's a V8, why do you need to drive that every day?
There is a certain point where exercising your rights will start to infringe on other people's.
I think it already is, because first of all, the emissions, the rest of us have to breathe that in, and second of all, you're using more resources as far as gas and
for nothing.
Yeah, for no reason.
They won't even use the truck.
And it's just like, let me see how fast I can drive from my home in town to where I work in town and floor it at every green light and give a bunch of smoke off and let people hear how loud it is.
That's right.
Like, what is the benefit? There is no benefit to it. I think it has a lot to do with the male ego, but I just have never heard any female just be like, God damn, that truck sounds good, I'm gonna fuck him. Like, has that ever happened?
Well, we're not around those.
Yeah, maybe that's just a whole different group of people.
I mean, we did grow up in Lugoff, so if they were around, they would have been there.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just don't understand in any point where that's like, I need a big truck with big tires that I waste money on just to drive around town. What I don't see any benefits.
I hate on trucks a lot, and big trucks I hate on a lot.
Yeah.
If you use your truck, I can't say anything to you.
No, that's fine.
I would never. But if you have this humongous jacked up truck that is spick and span, brand new, you wax it every day, and there's no reason for you to have it, then I can't help but hate on you for that. I mean, you're able to do whatever you want. You're an American. You're free, whatever. But at the same time, you're doing everything that you can to like exercise your right and not caring if you bother others or not. And that's the only reason it feels like they're doing it.
You're showing your little rebel side.
Right. So like, I think emissions laws should start to be a thing at some point.
I think Jeremy Clarkson said it best. He was like, basically he's like, you don't wear your soccer boots all year for the few games you have.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why drive? I know trucks are efficient when you need to move shit and pull stuff, and like they come in handy, of course, nobody can deny that, but that doesn't mean you got to use it every single day to go everywhere you need to go just because you think it's cool looking. It's a waste. It's like wearing your soccer cleats all the time just so you can be prepared for a game when it comes along. Like, that's a terrible excuse. Well, you know, I pull shit with it. Hey, once a month, you pull your camper down to Interstate Beach? You're like, what are you talking about?
Right, and I would say the same thing about somebody who has a Bugatti that they take around and floor like crazy.
Yeah,
they're getting 3 miles to the gallon.
Same
thing
absolutely.
with a 1,000 horsepower Camaro or whatever.
Yeah,
they're getting 2 miles to the gallon doing that.
Yeah, I'm A-okay with you having that car and driving it the fuck out of it because I would do the same thing. But just no point to be your daily driver. Be efficient. Try to actually care about the future a little bit. I know it's not going to be your future or any of our futures, but it still matters in the long run.
Yeah, and this is the point where we're starting to get into energy and like how vast our fossil fuel reserves are and that kind of stuff, which they are quite vast.
Yeah, so I think, you know, we've already planned that our next episode will be getting into energy and climate change and why we need to start making the changes that we do, and which is a perfect segue just for, like we said, we want to talk about cars, something that was light and easy to talk about, but then transition into, you know, why you again shouldn't have big fucking trucks and why we have to pay more attention to what we're doing now, even though it's not going to affect us, or maybe it won't affect us or our kids, but you know, further on down the line, 100 years, you know, it's going to make a big difference what we're doing to the climate, to the atmosphere.
Yeah, and this is the point where you can be a skeptic all you want about climate change and stuff like that. We welcome it. We will be open for debate with that. That's something that's ultimately very complicated. So not everybody really, only the people who really specialize in climate, like climatologists and stuff like that, really have the know-how about that. I only have my very little skim of knowledge that I got from college and my personal research. Same thing with Brennan, but he didn't go to college and study it.
I didn't go to college.
So maybe I know a little bit more about it. But yeah, this is the point where I guess we can end. And you can think about the impacts that our energy consumption will have in the future, how you can mitigate your carbon footprint, how you can start to recycle and do that sort of thing, and just think about what you're doing every day when you go outside and crank up your vehicle and go to work. I'd have to say also, pertaining more to this episode, if you got a crazy car that you think is awesome that we should look at, we're totally down to look at some cool cars. Hell yeah.
If there's something I guess we talked about, maybe that we didn't mention that you thought was a point that we should have spoke about, definitely let us know that as well.
Maybe we seem like super hypocrites right now because we both love cars, but at the same time
we know their inefficiencies.
Yeah, and it's tough to reconcile those two things and why I actually like cars, but I also am like an energy conscious person. That's a tough thing.
Yeah, I mean, if I could just get into an electric car today that was, you know, just the same price and stuff as my car, I would have easily went with that. You know, it's only because there's more gas-powered vehicles that are cheaper, you know, that we can drive.
And if I had good public transportation around here, I would use it a lot more.
Yeah, that would actually be very helpful. I agree with that.
And that'll be a good way for us to, as a whole, reduce our carbon footprint going into the future.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we don't have a game or anything to play for this in. I'm sorry for a lack of final segment.
It's all good. I think we did well. I think we made up on it on the front end with all of our questions and banter.
Yeah, we led y'all in and then led y'all out just a little bit.
So all we did was set ourselves up for our next topic, like we said, it's climate change. Other than that, it's been episode 4.
It has.
All about cars.
That's right.
And thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys.
And we will see you the next time.
That's right.
Peace. It's all you, Captain.